right, welcome back everyone to You Don't Look It. This is episode 12. Danny, how have you been?
Pretty good. Still working on that senior sim. Feel like every time I
Yeehaw.
talk to somebody, I'm like, I'm writing a paper. And they're like, didn't you just write a paper? And I was like, why, yes, I did. Funny
It
you should
never
notice
ends.
that. It never ends. Funny you should notice that I'm never going to stop writing papers until I graduate.
Yeah, seriously though. Go on.
That's a lot of psychology, though. You write a lot of papers.
That's very true. I started class this week. So grad school, fun stuff, and I was reading the rubric for the classes, and the finals for each of the two classes I'm taking right now are literally what the finals were for my senior seminar in undergrad.
Like
So I'm
exactly the
like,
same, like word for word kind of thing.
no, not word for one is similar because it's a research proposal.
Yeah.
So that one's a lot more the same. Like, this is what I did.
But there's like a
But
lot of schools do research proposals.
right. I mean like the same as in the same amount of work and effort
Oh,
and
okay.
time.
Yeah.
Like it's a 5,000 word paper for each class.
Yeah.
But it's not too bad because we have lectures and otherwise we don't have. I think one of the classes has a formative assessment, but it's optional. Um, and so it's not graded or anything. But you just take like a few minute video and be like, say what you've learned about psychology of coercive control and shit like that.
Which makes sense, I guess.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll probably do it anyway. But yeah, I've had lectures because of the time difference, because the school is in the UK. One of my lectures was at 5 a.m. my time.
Yeet.
And so
Fun.
woke up for that shit. That was exhausting. Took a long ass nap afterwards. It's found out it's not required and that they're all recorded. But I like the live because I can ask questions. But I'll probably for that one, unless I'm like struggling to sleep, I'll probably skip that one and watch it later in the day. And then they have a Monday night session for people in North America where you can get like the discussion aspect of the lecture.
Honestly, that's probably the best thing to come out of COVID is that people realize that, like, oh, yes, we have international students, so we need to be
Right.
filming these lectures so that they don't have to wake up at 2 a.m. to watch a lecture.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, and they're doing a really good, because this program has never been offered online. And it's also a fairly new program. It's only been around for a few years, I believe. But they're doing a really good job. I know a lot of schools have struggled to transition, especially like high schools and stuff, which that makes more sense. But they've done a really good job, and they're just very accommodating to people in North America, which I appreciate. And they're also like, they understand you have lives. Like a big part of our lecture yesterday was like making sure that you are, participating in self-care and stuff like that, especially because a lot
I
of
love that.
I know.
I love that.
Especially because
That's one of my favorite things about psych majors.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, our topics are, because it's coercive control, we're going to be talking about like human trafficking and cults and domestic violence and abuse and all that. So they're like, these are really heavy topics, and we know a lot of you have joined this because you have the experiences, so we understand this could be triggering. So feel free to
I love
leave
that.
at any point.
Because my professors are over here like, there are no trigger warnings in therapy, and then they just start talking about like really horrific sexual assault, and I'm like, oh, thank you.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and it's nothing against them, because it's true. There are no trigger warnings in therapy.
Yeah.
Like, you might have somebody that's in for an eating disorder, and then they tell you about this horrible murder they witnessed.
Right.
That's, like, not at all related to their eating disorder. And it's like, oh, shit, I was not prepared.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm kind of like, because, like, even therapists see therapists. If your therapist doesn't see a therapist, like, you probably shouldn't be seeing them.
Mm-hmm.
Because then they're not
taking
care of themselves.
Sees one.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure mine sees one because she's very ethical, but I haven't asked her about it because I feel like that. Like, but you should ask your therapist about that just so that, like, But then I'm also kind of like, I trust her to be very ethical.
Right.
Like, even things that she knows, like, that I'm okay with, like, disclosing information to other doctors, she's still like, no, we're going to make sure that it's, like, 100%. We're going to talk about it for 30 minutes.
Yeah. Good. No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's also nice because the instructors, well, one of the courses I'm taking is research methods in psychology, and that's one that so many people are taking, depending, like, people from a bunch of different courses and programs are taking that class, whereas my other ones are for people in my specific program. So the one that's more universal, like, isn't as helpful, like, as accommodating, I should say. I like it still, but
Yeah.
the one but all of the other classes, because it's a program, is run by these two professors who are married, and they're experts in the field. And it's also helpful because I don't know about one of them, but I know the other one, because he mentioned it, like, was in a high control group, and so it's kind of nice that he understands that because, like, he's experienced it, he understands that, like, the topics are heavy and can take a toll on people, and so I think that has helped them be more accommodating to, like, mental health and all that in the process.
Yeah,
So.
which I really appreciate, because I think a lot of people don't understand that, like, sometimes the best people in mental health professions have experienced shit of
Right.
their own. Because, like, my mom was always like, we're not sending you to therapy because all therapists are just there because they want to work through their own shit. And, like, be like, she thinks that, like, therapists are there because it's like, oh, well, that therapist has depression and they just want to work through their own depression by helping other people and making themselves feel good. And I'm like, you
Christ.
woman,
Oh
okay,
my.
I really shouldn't be surprised because she has, like, we're pretty sure she has something in the realm of narcissistic personality disorder.
Yeah.
So, but, like, I'm not a professional doctor. Nobody
Right.
has diagnosed her because she refuses to see one.
Oh
But,
my god.
you know, so that makes
Jesus.
sense. But she'll say shit about the profession I want to go into, and I'm just like,
That's
bro,
rude as fuck.
you have it so wrong. Like, I just sit there stunned sometimes, and I'm like, I don't understand you. I don't understand where these ideas come from.
Right? Oh my god. Some people are baffling, I swear.
I know.
Oh god. On another note, Trump has the Rona.
Oh, yes. I woke up to that this morning, and then
I did too. I was like, wait, what? Is this a joke?
my parents turned on Fox News for like 3 hours, and they just talked about Trump having Rona and how he was going to be fine and asymptomatic. And I'm like, first of all, that's not how diseases work.
Right.
I mean, like, I know some people are asymptomatic,
Right.
but, like, you can't just assume that anybody that tests positive will be asymptomatic.
Right.
And they're also like, they got like an ex-White House doctor, which I'm kind of like, former White House doctor. Former. The man was not old enough to retire. So, first of all, he might not have been a great doctor.
Right.
And he was like, oh, we're not going to take any preemptive measures. I don't expect them to because you don't want to overtreat the patient. And I'm like,
what is happening?
What?
Is this why you were an ex-doctor?
Is this why you're a former White House doctor? Did they remove your license?
Right? Oh my god.
Because,
and,
like,
oh my god. It was bound to happen. Like, it was
Oh,
bound to
yeah.
happen with how he just doesn't give a shit or take it seriously.
Mr. Captain No Mask, like,
Yeah.
of course it was going to happen.
And bashing everyone else for wearing masks and all that. It's like,
Oh, yeah.
well,
And then,
look
like,
at what
calling it
happened.
stupid for, like, shutting things down. And it's just the hypocrisy. Like, because you know that his team was doing everything in their power to keep him from getting it. They were making sure everybody wore a mask around him. They're making sure
I
everything
know
is
it's a
clean.
debate. Like, nobody was wearing a mask that, like, his aide wasn't wearing. And his aide's the one who gave it to him. Like, wasn't wearing a mask when he brought him papers.
But she's also a big no masker too, so.
Yeah, so not even surprised. Like,
yeah.
It was bound to happen. I hope this serves as a wake-up call to him that it's a serious
yeah. I hope he
thing.
finally starts taking it seriously and being like, okay, we have to, like, it sucks, but we're gonna have to, like, mandate that everybody in the country wear a mask. And I know everyone's like, oh, my rights and freedoms. And I'm like, yes, your rights and freedoms to kill others around you. I'm pretty sure we made murder illegal, like, way back in the beginning of the founding of the country. But whatever, I guess.
Yeah, seriously. Oh my god.
Because, I mean, is it not considered, at the very least, manslaughter?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Oh my god. And,
like,
I saw it, like, because when I woke up, and I was on Facebook, and I saw some, like, people on my friends list sharing the, like, news article that he had gotten it. and so many people were so sassy. It was so funny. One person was like, "Huh, how did this happen? I thought it was a hoax." And oh
I
my
thought
god,
it
it was
wasn't
so
real. And I thought it was a Chinese weapon. What?
right. So they're
God.
just harassing everyone. So that was pretty funny.
I know.
Um,
And people are at like, I've seen some people that are like, I hope he dies. I hope his children die. And I'm like, okay, that's a bit
that's a
far.
little
It's a little
aggressive.
aggressive. Like, plus, if he dies, like, right before an election, everything is going to go to hell in a handbasket. Like,
Yeah,
not that it isn't
God.
already, but I don't want it to get
Right.
worse. So,
Yeah,
there's also
it's
that.
there's a lot. Like, yeah, like Danny and I were texting earlier, and I was like, I hope he gets it. Like, he isn't. Like, I don't want him to suffer, but I hope he's not
No, I
asymptomatic
want him
because
to
if he,
suffer. Like, I don't want him to die, but I want him to, like, know that it is something that is really dangerous.
oh yeah, I want him like because if he's asymptomatic, it's just gonna confirm his belief that COVID ain't shit and that he
Yeah.
doesn't have to worry. And so I hope that it impacts him enough that he's like, okay, shit, this is real. I have to take this seriously and maybe be like, my actions have killed a lot of fucking people because I haven't been taking this seriously.
And, like, let's be real, there are very few countries out there that got it under control and have gotten rid of it. So, like,
Right.
it's not 100% on him that it got as big as it got, but it definitely was his fault for not saying, hey, let's take this seriously. Like, he
Right,
was making
yeah.
jokes out of it. He was making racist remarks that led
Oh my
to
god,
a lot of
yeah.
Asian Americans getting attacked and killed and beaten.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
like,
Pisses me
that's not
off.
helpful.
It's like so
You
many countries
started the
did
racial
handle it
tension. Like,
much better. Yeah, seriously. No, like very few have it under control. I know New Zealand, I think, is like good.
Taiwan, too. Taiwan's only had like 7 deaths.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Um,
Let's
but it's like
notice
you
that
read.
all these countries are run by women. Sorry.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
seriously, no, exactly. And what gets like the thing is, as I don't know if people have seen the statistics, but it's like the U.S. has a population that's about 5% of the world, yet we have 25-ish% of the COVID cases or deaths, and
Yeah.
it's like that's clearly a problem, and that starts with him.
Honestly, that speaks volumes about her healthcare as well.
Yes, very true.
And granted, it
But
was a novel virus, but like, I mean, they were intubating people. And when I heard that they were doing that, I freaked out because you don't do that unless somebody is on the verge of death.
right, yeah, it's been intense, and like the thing is, it's not over. But so many people are like, "Oh yeah, it's over," because
It's
like
over. Yeah, I went to the
I'm
mall the
bored.
other day to train, and so many people weren't wearing masks. And I was like,
Really,
it was a nearly empty mall, so I was able to stay a good 3 meters away from people the entire time.
right.
But like, at the same time, I was like, holy shit, guys, this is not over.
Also, the South just does not give a shit as
Oh
much
no, we don't
as
give a shit about anything.
the
There's
North.
garbage everywhere. Like, nobody gives a fuck.
Meanwhile, up here, it's like it's required, at least in my where I live, the city I live, or the town, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Uh, it's required to wear a mask
Yeah,
when you're in
our
public.
our governor McMaster was like, "Oh, it's unconstitutional to expect Americans to wear a mask inside of a building or stay 6 feet away from people or take pretty much any measures to prevent this pandemic." And I'm
Right,
like, we're not signing it into law that you can never go within 6 feet of somebody or that you have to wear a mask for the rest of your life. This is
right,
like emergency measures. We have things in place for emergencies like natural disasters, pandemics,
right.
war. Like, sorry, that's just
Oh
how it works,
god.
man.
And it's like it's such a simple thing to ask. And then there are people who are like claiming to be like that their disability doesn't allow them to do it. And it's like, okay, uh specifically for the people taking advantage who aren't disabled at least. But
Oh, the
yes,
people that
there
just don't
are
want to wear a mask and like
right, those people.
they've never heard of the ADA until they suddenly didn't want to wear a mask. And then they looked it
Right.
up and they're like, oh,
And they didn't
ADA
give a fuck.
exists. I know.
Right.
And I'm like,
And
I hope this doesn't cause changes to the ADA because the
oh
ADA is
god.
like pretty well written. I mean, it has its flaws, but it's pretty well written. And
But the thing is,
like,
people are misinterpreting it because,
yeah,
and like there are people who are like their disability makes it so they cannot wear a mask. So like, but that doesn't mean they can go in without one. That means that someone can do the shopping for them while they wait in their car, or
or they can go
stuff like that.
specifically for disability hours. Like I know our Target
Exactly.
opens early and stays open late, an extra hour just for disabled shoppers.
Yes, exactly. So it's like these are the accommodations, and it's like the ADA says like you are entitled to accommodations as long as it doesn't inflict an undue hardship or cause risk to other like health risk to other people around you. It specifically says that, and not wearing a mask and a giant ass group of people defies that. So you're like the people who are trying to be like, oh, you're like breaking HIPAA and you're,
Breaking
violating the
HIPAA.
ADA.
I love
You
that
know
they
what I
don't
mean?
even know what HIPAA is. I
I
know.
know. And they're like, oh, you're violating the ADA. It's like, no, actually, they're not. Like, they're giving you the alternatives, and that is what they're supposed to do. And they're protecting everyone when they do that. It's not that. It just pisses me off that people think they can do whatever they want. And it's like, okay, well, if you're going to be claiming that you have a disability that prevents you from wearing a mask, and you're especially going to be a bit bitch about it and not take the actual accommodations they're trying to offer you, then it's like I better see you out there advocating for disability rights and all that, because it's
Exactly.
it's like, oh my god, it
Because I
just
think
pisses me off.
it's something crazy. Like 20% of the American population qualifies as disabled.
Yeah,
Like a
I saw that.
rough estimate. I think it's probably more because a lot of people with invisible disabilities, like myself, like don't even realize that it
Right.
is a
Yep.
disability until
Yeah.
like
That's true.
something really serious happens or somebody at your school or work is like, hey, you might need accommodations.
What a mood.
Because I spent
Yeah.
like I truly did spend like 20 years thinking that like I was fine, like that
Right.
I was just like a little bit sick and in pain all the time, but like that I was pretty much abled.
What a fucking mood. Me goes to the chiropractor. Yeah, I figured like this back pain maybe wasn't normal, but I thought it was fine. Then they're like, "How old are you?"
Oh yeah.
I was like 20. I think I was 20. Then I was like 20. They're like, "Yeah, you shouldn't be in pain all the time." I was like,
I thought that was totally normal. I mean, like I
"I
thought
know."
everybody just had like aches everywhere, and I'm like, what do you
Right.
mean you can't just feel your joints all the time?
Oh my god. And like I have like I don't know what causes it. It might be chronic fatigue. I've seen a mixture of things that cause it and don't know. But I get allodynia, so like when you touch your skin, or it really depends. There's mechanical and then there's like thermal as well. And I get both, but a lot of times it's mechanical, and if you touch your skin, it hurts like to touch your skin. Or sometimes
Oh
different
yeah.
temperatures hurt. So it doesn't happen all the time, but like I thought that was normal because I was like, okay, I don't experience it all the time. It just happens, a couple times a week or something like that. It's like it's not a constant pain, so probably everyone experiences this. And then I like mentioned it to someone, and they're like, "What?" They're like, "That's so
What do
not
you
normal."
mean?
I was like, "What?" I was
Dude,
like,
when
"You
I
don't like
mentioned
brush your arm and it doesn't hurt you?"
isn't like excruciating pain. I know I was talking
Right.
to I was talking to some like medical person about like being able to smell hunger because like
Ooh.
yeah, because we were talking about like how I get like a lot of abdominal pain, but like I never
Yeah.
feel hungry. So we thought
Yeah.
like it might have something to do with like gastroparesis.
Yeah.
And so she was like, well, when do you usually notice that you're hungry and that you need to eat something? And I'm like, oh, I usually smell it before I ever like register the feeling. And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, when you get hungry and you can smell it like on other people and on yourself. And she's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And I'm
Oh
like,
my
oh, okay.
god. Like,
That's
oh,
nice.
that's not universal.
That's
Okay.
not universal. I mean, I almost dropped a night class because I was taking a Judaism class and
Ooh, fun
my
stuff.
my professor, like it was at like 8 o'clock at night, so it's late,
Mm.
but he was always starving. And even when I sat in the back of the room, I could still smell it. And I almost dropped the class because I could not handle the smell of hunger for a full 2 hours every week.
So what does hunger smell like?
It's really hard to describe. It's like almost like an alcoholic smell, and it
Huh.
like a rotting smell.
Oh God. Jesus.
Yeah, it's not quite like formaldehyde, but it's like it's got that like formaldehyde like waxy rubbery smell.
Wow.
Like I don't know
Wow.
how to explain it, but
Yeah,
like if you've ever
that.
seen like a dead animal that's been in formaldehyde and it's got that
Yeah.
waxy look to it,
Oh yeah.
it doesn't smell like formaldehyde, but it smells how that looks. Does that make sense?
that does make sense. That's wild. I had never heard anything about that. Like I've heard about the people, I can't remember what it's called, but like where they can taste color or something like that. But like I never heard of like smelling hunger. That's freaking wild. And especially if it smells like that, yeah, I would not be having a great time either.
It's not great. And like I can tell that I'm getting like a sinus infection or something because like one of my friends was like, we hung out the other night. He's like, you smell like Ivar, and Ivar wasn't with me, and I was like, oh my God, and I was like really embarrassed because I usually smell like nothing.
Yeah.
And one of my friends is actually like, I've actually never smelled you once, and I lived with you for 2 years, and I'm like, success.
Success.
But I was like,
iconic.
oh shit, man, I'm probably getting sick because I can't.
Right.
Usually I like would catch that immediately.
So if you're sick, can you not smell hunger anymore as well?
No, that is so fucking pungent.
That's
Like,
oh my God.
I mean,
just like walk
I
into
don't know
class
for
with a granola
sure.
bar and give it to the goddamn professor and be like, "You're always hungry. Take it."
I gave him donuts once so that he would
really
just eat them and stop smelling like that.
That's hilarious.
And I'll be in car rides and we'll start offering people food because I can't tell who it is, and I'm like, please somebody take it. I don't know who you are, but you need to eat it.
I will keep that in mind next time. Next time I'll be like, Danny, I'm hungry.
I mean, I'll
be
bring
like,
it up
it's
too.
you.
Like, if I know it's you, I'm like, hey, do you want to grab a snack or something? And if the person like continues to deny it, like, oh no, I don't need to eat anything. Like, oh, I'm fine. I'm like, no, you're starving. Eat something. I am going to go insane.
It's not for you. It's for me.
It's not for you. It's for me. Just eat something. That's part of the
That's
reason
funny.
I don't think I could ever treat eating disorders is not because I couldn't handle it. I just can't take the smell.
Yeah, that's true. That's very fair. I need you around when I'm like nauseous and I can't tell if it's because I need to eat something or the opposite. So
yeah, if I'm gonna throw up or if I need to eat.
Right, exactly. Oh my gosh. But yeah, we went on so many tangents.
I know. Sorry about that, guys.
Today? Oh
so,
yeah, I know. Hopefully you like politics enough to listen to stuff like that.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I usually don't get political, but I've been upsetty spaghetti, so.
Oh yeah, no,
here we go. So today I have one of my favorite artists from the 17th century, Artemisia Gentileschi.
Don't think I've heard of them.
Ooh, she's really not that well known. I can show you some of her paintings. I'm gonna mention a few of my favorites.
Sounds good.
Later on, and she has some of the most beautiful paintings I have ever seen, partially because they're heavily feminist, and I love the feminist overtones. So,
what I'm here for.
especially in classical paintings.
Yes.
Or, I guess that's not the era. I forget the name of the era. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, true.
Doesn't matter. I'm not an art historian. I dropped my art major for a reason.
Yeehaw.
So Artemisia was born on July 8th in 1593 in Rome. She was the eldest of 5 children and the only daughter to Tuscan painter Orazio Gentileschi. Her father taught her how to paint, and her earliest known painting is Susanna and the Elders from 1610. By the time she was 19, she was already considered a master who had no peers.
Wow.
Her father would often be caught boasting about her talents, and her style was highly influenced by Caravaggio.
Okay.
So there's a lot of like...
He painted a portrait of Medusa, I think.
I think so.
I only know that because of I love Medusa, but
Yeah. And she has like a lot of really extreme like chiaroscuro lighting going on in a lot of her paintings, and I think it's
that's snazzy.
gorgeous.
I'm hyped to
So
see
trigger
some of these
warning.
works.
Oh, go ahead. What?
Oh no, I said I'm hyped to see some of her works.
Oh yeah, they're beautiful. I'm probably gonna make a second post on Instagram with just her stuff because
Yeah.
I love them. But trigger warning for rape and sexual assault and torture.
Okay.
So yay.
Great.
Yeah.
Yay.
In 1611, when she was 17 years old, she was raped by her tutor. I'm sorry if I butcher this. Agostino Tassi, who was
He
a friend
doesn't
of her
deserve to have
father's.
his name pronounced properly.
Right? Fuck it. We don't care about their names.
Exactly.
I'm just going to call him Tassi.
Yeah.
Because that's easy.
True.
Orazio pressed charges against him. The charges against Tassi were taking Artemisia's virginity. Because if she had not been a virgin, her father would not have been able to press charges. Because at the time,
that pisses me off.
Right? At the time, it would have been super, super uncommon to charge anybody for sexual assault or rape.
Right.
And it would have, the most likely outcome would have been that Artemisia had to marry Tassi. So
I hate that.
had her father not pressed for that, that's pretty much what would have happened. And her father really favored her and did not want her to live the rest of her life married to him.
What a guy.
So I like her dad.
Yeah.
The trial is brutal though. It started in 1612 and lasted for 7 months. It was super torturous for Artemisia. She was subjected to a grueling and detailed questioning, torture, and above all, humiliation, because this is how everybody came to know her.
Oh, that's sad.
And the court documents are actually surviving to this day.
Wow.
Yeah, and they are incredibly detailed. I mean, there is like a book. And I didn't have time to read through all of them because I have papers to write.
Yeah,
but
I don't blame you.
If you want to read them, they're out there.
Yeah.
The trial resulted with Tassi being found guilty, which is also super rare.
That's crazy for that time, yeah.
Right? Even crazy for this time.
For
what are you
now,
talking about?
I was gonna say.
He was found guilty and exiled from Rome. However, the sentence was not carried out because Tassi was really well, actually, he was really well known for being a shithead of a person. Just being like a god-awful human being. But he was let off easy because of his connections to people in power.
I hate that.
The Pope at the time, I think it was Pope Innocent, even said that like Tassi was the only artist that never disappointed him because he never claimed to be a good person and would just outwardly be like, yeah, I am a terrible person and I'm going to continue to be terrible. And everyone else went, you know what? All right, I guess we're just going to let it happen because you're not even trying to hide it.
Oh my god. Jesus Christ. I hate that so much.
I mean, if you think about it, it's like very Catholic. And at the time, they're like, you know, they're going after people that are hypocritical, people that are against the agenda of the church. And he was neither of those things. So they just let him fly.
Fuck that.
Yeah. Current Pope is actually trying to do something about that.
Like our current Pope?
Yeah, the current Pope.
Oh, okay.
Pope Francis? Yes.
I remember reading an article one time. He's like, I don't know if aliens are real, but if they are and they came here, I'd baptize them if they wanted. I was like, what is happening? But I love this.
What on earth? Pope okay. I mean,
I don't even know the context.
I don't know the context either because almost everything I hear about Pope Francis is out of context. But from what I've heard out of context, he's not that terrible.
Right. I've seen the video where he just walks up to a table and he's like, with the fucking like the tablecloth, and he does the thing where they like he pulls it out and everything stays, and then he's like, hey. And I was like, oh my gosh,
that's so cute. He's like everybody's little
so random too.
He just walks over in like all of his Pope gear and just like yanks the tablecloth. Honestly, that's like, pretty cool.
Oh yeah, from what I've heard is iconic. I mean, obviously still has his flaws, but he sounds better than other popes and such.
And I heard somewhere that like the Vatican, holds the majority of the wealth in the world because of all the artifacts that they have.
Oh yeah,
just throughout history, just stored in the basement of the Vatican. And I was like, I don't know how true that is, but if that's true, that's insane. That is noodles.
It really is. Oh my gosh. Oh god, it's crazy. But yeah, so he entertains me.
Yeah. After the trial, Artemisia was married off to, and I'm going to butcher this as well. I'm very sorry. Pier Antonio di Vincenzo.
Vincenzo?
I don't know. He is Vincenzo. There we go. I never took Italian.
Me neither. I just like history, so I know some people's names.
That's fair. He was an artist from Florence. She decided to move to Florence with him, seeing as her rapist was still in Rome.
That's fair.
And she got married off to him. Too. She got married off to him like basically right after the trial too. So like there was like no time in between the trial and her getting married.
Christ, did she like him at least?
I think so. I think they actually got along.
Oh, that's nice.
Until later on, but we'll get to that.
Oh, great. Never
mind. But she moved to Florence in 1612 and had 5 children. Obviously, not all at the same year, but
right.
I couldn't find birthdays for her kids.
I was like, someone managing to have quintuplets in that time period without dying is beyond me.
Right. Not to mention, like, the majority of quintuplets are done through, like, in vitro.
Right.
Like, it's very, very hard to have natural quintuplets.
Oh my gosh. I'm just imagining. Unless you're like John and Kate +8 and you have sextuplets.
Oh, I know. I would freak out. I couldn't.
Like, what happened here?
That would scare the shit out of me. And have you seen pictures of her stomach when she was pregnant with all of them?
Yeah, that was intense.
Oh my god. I'm sorry, but we're doing a C-section. I'm having like 8 preemie kids, and then we're just gonna figure it out from there, because I'm not carrying all these kids to term.
Because like I can't take that.
I don't understand why they don't, like, in cases like that where like the maternal mortality rate or chances of dying would be incredibly high,
right,
for carrying that many kids. So I don't really understand why they wouldn't abort 1 or 2 of them that had lesser chances of survival.
Are you able to like pick and choose?
I don't know, actually.
Be able to avoid,
yeah, that might actually be not possible, because then you could end up hurting the other fetus.
Right.
That's so noodles.
Wild, yeah.
I mean, I guess I could have done it like early on, but even then, I don't know. I'm gonna get off into a tangent. I'm gonna Google it later. I'll figure it out.
Yeehaw.
Where was I? Here I am.
She had 5 kids.
She had 5 kids. At this time, she also began working as an independent artist and establishing herself from 1612 to 1620. Some of her most famous patrons included the House of Medici and Charles I of England. Yeah.
Damn. Yeah,
I know.
Medicis were wealthy as hell.
She was bringing in the money.
Yeah.
The big money. She became the first woman to gain membership to the Academy of the Arts of Drawing in 1616.
Yes, queen.
She was super well accomplished. And she actually made the majority of the money in her household.
You go, girl.
There's going to be more on that later, because that actually did cause problems.
Oh, jeez. Of course.
Love that. She slips herself into a lot of her paintings. Or she'll have, a self-portrait of her in the background, or she will be the main character of the painting.
Okay.
Many of her paintings portray women as powerful, courageous, rebellious, and resilient.
Yes.
Almost all of her works portray women as the protagonist and as being equal to men or overpowering them.
I adored that.
I like that too. And they're exquisite. And the women actually look like real women. They don't look like super dainty goddess things.
What's her name again?
Artemisia Gentileschi.
Okay.
Look up Judith slaying Holofernes.
Oh, I love
that's
that
her most
one.
famous. Yeah, that's her most famous painting.
I
In one of her paintings, Saint Catherine of Alexandria, she paints herself as Saint Catherine holding a broken spiked wheel.
wow.
If you don't know, Saint Catherine was tortured by being tied to a wheel with iron spikes and was rescued by divine intervention. So it shows Artemisia as a martyr saint holding the tools that were used to torture her and her staring directly at the observer.
Wow. I like
So
that.
she has a lot of paintings like that of like, ah, yes, you tried to like torture me and break me.
Right.
Here I am.
But look at where I am now. Yeah.
Painting for the House of Medici.
Her painting reminds me, I doubt she's the artist, because I don't know who the artist is, but it reminds me of this one I saw when we took a field trip in high school for AP Euro. We took a field trip to the Boston Museum of Art,
Mm-hmm.
and this was in like the European section, and there was a painting, and it was a woman who was shirtless and like you said, like legit body type of a woman, not those dainty,
Not the
like
weird orange boobs.
right, exactly,
like where the boobs look like oranges, like under the skin.
This was real, and her boobs were out too, and so she was just standing there shirtless, and then holding the head of an enemy of hers that she had decapitated.
Oh, actually, Artemisia
like,
has a lot of paintings like that, so it could have been her.
Really?
Yeah,
Damn,
if you remember the
I have a picture
name.
of it. I will. I'm sure I can do like a reverse photo search or something.
Yeah, I definitely would.
I will for sure do that, and I'll send it to you as well. I can't remember if I've sent it to you before.
Sorry, the meds are kicking in, and I'm like, I'm getting woo.
It's all
getting,
good.
Like,
Danny's having a good
wooed.
time.
Haha, I took my like emergency anxiety meds, and now I'm like, hello, folks. Here I am.
Here I am.
Here I am. This is me. Do you know that song from Spirit?
Yes, I love that. Spirit was
my favorite
shit.
movie as a kid. I was a horse girl, but not like an extreme horse girl.
I probably was an extreme horse girl.
Like I just liked the horse movies. That was it. And then I rode horses occasionally.
Horses. Yeah,
I was only into like
years.
I was only into like the trail riding, so like I didn't want to like ride them for like competition or like any jumping or anything. I'm like I just want to like go take a horse to a field and just ride around for a few hours.
Yeah, no. Oh my god, Spirit. I had it on VHS and now I have it on DVD.
Sick. I watched it on Hulu the other night.
Oh my god, love that.
Because I couldn't sleep, so I'm like, might as well just turn on a kid's movie, and then fall asleep.
Hell yeah. Oh Jesus, I really got on a tangent.
Oh yeah, same. I do too. Her painting, which is my favorite, Judith slaying Holofernes.
Yes, I do like that one quite a bit.
Yes, it was very nice. Is painted sometime between 1620 and 1621, which like is fast for painters because some of these paintings take them like 5 years.
That's a really intricate painting too.
Oh yeah, and it's big. It is not small.
Yeah.
She portrays herself as Judith beheading her rapist, who is Holofernes, who is predicted. Oh my god.
Yes. Never mind.
Yes.
I was like, is that the right word? And then I like got stuck in my own head.
Depicted.
That was it.
That's the word. Oh my god.
I'm like,
sorry,
this sounds
guys.
right, but not completely.
I'm a little bit high. I'm so sorry.
Oh my
god. Okay, so Holofernes is depicted as Tossie, and is being beheaded with his own sword by Artemisia. She's accompanied by her maid, who is one of her close friends, who is holding down his body. So she's got some backup from her bitches. That is how you be. That is girl code. Okay.
That is.
If you're going to slay your attacker, you need to have a friend there to help you hold the body down, and then bury it later, because that's what they're going to do with it. Well, they're going to take the head to their people to show them that they defeated the enemy, and then they're going to do whatever with the body.
Proof.
Here's proof. We got him.
Oh my gosh.
And I really like this painting because it's not about the women being like really dainty and beautiful. Like Judith slaying Holofernes is a pretty like famous story, and a lot of artists depicted it in the past. And Judith is almost always like this confused, like tiny, dainty girl, like with a short sword, like not sure what she's doing, like confused,
right,
unhappy with the situation, and the servants always like in the background just watching. And in this one, Artemisia is holding this big ass like battle sword and like really struggling to hold him down. Like her arms are like completely like you could see the muscle popping out.
What an icon.
And her like Holofernes is this like huge dude, and like his hand is like twice the size of her maid's face, and he's like holding onto the maid's shirt trying to push her off.
Damn.
And the blood is like something out of a Quentin Tarantino movie. I'm all about it. I love it.
Yeah, it was a
It's
nice
a beautiful
painting.
painting.
I like it.
It's gorgeous. So like a lot of her paintings are like about the struggle and about like showing that women are like genuinely really powerful, despite all the forces against them, which are usually like men that are much larger than them.
Yeah.
And I think it's really cool, especially for the time period.
Oh yeah,
it was painted
that's
in.
very progressive.
Where am I in my notes? She repainted this actually several times. So there's a version from like 1616. There's a version from like 1612.
Wow.
Which had been right after her trial. She also painted the scene afterwards with Judith putting Holofernes' head into a bag, and her maidservant like looking down the hall to make sure like nobody's coming.
Iconic.
Yeah, gorgeous. She also repainted that one several times, and you can see how her style has improved and changed, and the differences in her color palette and the lighting, which I think is really cool. But I also think it was probably a very therapeutic thing for her to go back and repaint these.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Which I really like. So near the end of her life, well, I guess this isn't the end of her life. She would have been about middle age at the time. Because she was drawing in the majority of her family's finances, many people believe that her husband was the one who painted her works and was putting her name on it so that they could get more money from it, or like, you know, more fame. They probably would have gotten less or the same amount of money.
Yeah.
But it would have drawn in a lot of attention, and that would have been good for both his art and hers. But this caused a huge falling out with her husband. I'm not entirely sure why, but I'm sure it's something along the lines of, oh, I'm going to take credit for your art because I'm a man, and I should be taking credit for it because I own you. Yep.
Oh my God.
Love that. Love the patriarchy strikes again.
That it does.
But also at the time, it was really, really uncommon for people to leave their husbands.
Yeah, that's true.
So not only did she get her rapist convicted, I mean, he didn't get the sentencing carried out, but that alone is a huge feat for the time period. But then she leaves her husband, which is also huge for the time period. So yes. I love this bitch. When she leaves her husband, she returns to Rome in 1620. I'm assuming to live with her dad again, or live in the family house. I couldn't find a ton of details, but I also probably should have looked harder. So that's on me.
I feel that.
She remained in Rome for the next 10 years, and she would occasionally take trips to Venice, and I think she took a short trip to England with her father to paint for the king.
Snazzy.
Which is really cool.
Yeah.
In 1630, she moved to Naples, where she ran a very successful studio up until her death.
Wow. That's awesome.
So, I love this bitch. We're still finding more things out about her, because I don't think a lot of her works were even discovered until the 20th century.
Oh, wow. So, this is all very new.
Yeah, and I think a lot of them, even after they were discovered, they sat in storage for a long time and weren't reported on. So I don't really think that people actually knew she was the artist and then knew much about her life until like the 90s.
That's crazy. Damn.
Right? And they didn't find that painting of St. Catherine of Alexandria until I forgot to write the date, but it was sometime around like 2018.
Mm.
So
That's
it's pretty
very,
recent.
very recent. Yeah.
It's been recently restored and put on exhibit.
Oh, I love watching videos of people, like professionals, restoring paintings.
Oh, same. They're so
It's
cool.
so satisfying.
I would love to do it, but I don't trust myself to
Oh, yeah, me neither.
not fuck it up.
I feel that so hard.
Do you remember that painting of Jesus that was restored? It was like a little portrait of Jesus that was
This
restored
sounds super familiar.
several years back, and she painted over it, and it looked nothing like the original.
I think so. Oh my gosh. I think I know exactly which one you're talking about.
And then I think it turned out that she like wasn't even licensed.
Yeah, exactly. And everyone's like, the fuck? You let this bitch near this?
you gave her a painting that was like several thousand years old.
Right. What? Oh my god. Fuck, Jesus. That's
the
crazy.
Importance of making sure people are licensed.
Right. In every profession that
in every profession.
Oh my gosh. That's wild. I like her. That's awesome. I'll definitely have to search that photo and also send it to you to see if I can figure out if it was her or even somebody around that time. Would be intriguing to know. But
yeah, because she was actually friends with a lot of like famous painters of the time.
Oh, really?
And I think I forget where she's on exhibit currently because I should have written that down, but I didn't because COVID, and I figured nobody was going anywhere. Rona. But I think in the current place, St. Catherine of Alexandria is being displayed. She's up right next to her father, Orizio, and a few other famous painters she knew as a young girl.
Yeah, wow. That's pretty cool.
Pretty awesome, pretty snazzy. Yeah. Anyway, what you got for me this week?
All right. I don't have a crazy name for this at all. But I am going to basically tell you a few different stories of my adventures in Rochester, aka Rochester, New York.
Rat-cha-cha.
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 So I have just a couple, and then one's longer than the others. But remember how I told you in the past about the fish funerals at school? And so when Mika and I went to PetSmart the next day to get her a fish, and I got a fish as well, we were just walking out, and we were sitting at the corner waiting for our Uber, and I'm just like chilling there admiring my fish Drogon, and Mika's just looking around, and she's like, Lexie, I'm like, what? And I'm just admiring Drogon. She's like, that car seems to be watching us and circling around. And I was like,
oh, I hate that.
And I was like, what? I'm just admiring Drogon. And then apparently it had all these tinted windows and I was like, what? And then as soon as our Uber got here, it sped off. And so Mika's convinced that we were almost sex trafficked in Rochester. And
I mean, it's possible. It happens way more often than people like to admit.
Oh, yeah, no. And I was like, I can't believe, I'm like, my mother's going to listen to this and be like, Lexie, I told you to always keep an eye out.
I told you to always carry mace.
Exactly. So I'm just like sitting there admiring Drogon, and Mika's just watching the area being like, bitch, they've circled around and they have tinted windows. And I was like, what?
Somebody came trying to sell us masks at like 9:00 at night outside of an ice cream parlor last night.
No.
And my friend Albert's like, after they left, he's like, maybe we should like go walk around a more like populated, lighter area because there's nobody here and it doesn't make sense for them to try to sell masks.
That's true.
And I'm like, or you just stare them down and like not look away and let them know you're going to be a fight. And he's like,
true.
What the fuck? And I'm like, yeah, this is what being a woman is like.
It's
okay.
True.
Sometimes you just have to stand. Sometimes you have to wait somewhere and you don't want to be there because there's creepy people, to just stand your ground and stare into their soul and let them know if they try to grab you, you're going to put up a huge ass fight.
Right.
And it's not worth it.
You're going to be more trouble than it's worth for them.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, seriously though. So that was very brief. That happened. I also remember one time when I don't know, I think we were drinking at one point and we had music on and was like, did you know that Rochester is like a sex trafficking capital or something? I don't know how accurate that fact was. And then
I mean, like, I think every state has their own sex trafficking capital. Right. Like,
and then my roommate, she was like, all right, girls, let's talk about something different.
Let's not give me a panic attack.
She was like trying to, because she knew that if we got on the topic, we get really upset because we're also intoxicated. And she wasn't. She was sober. And so she was like, all right, girls, let's talk about something else. And then turned on a song that I like. And she's like, Lexie, listen. And I'm like, whoa! And I was completely just like, totally. I was like, oh, I forgot about the sex trafficking. But I'm trying to remember if there were any other small stories. Mika said I should talk about, she gave me all the like extra details I should mention for the big story, but she was like, so much happened in that city that we don't even.
Is this just like about living in Rachacha?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I say the most distinct memory from my adventures in the city of Rachacha is when we went to this restaurant called Dinosaur Barbecue, and lit ass shit. I mean, I think they took away my favorite sandwich, so now I don't really care about them, but it's fine.
Now I hate them, but that's fine. That's for a different time. I'll leave them a nasty Google review.
Exactly. I'm like, excuse you? So Mika, me, my roommate, and two of our friends went. I don't have permission for their names. I don't know if they'd care or not. So, but I'm just gonna say my friends.
Fair.
So it was pouring rain out. We went to Dinosaur Barbecue, and then we're like, you know what? Right across the street is the abandoned Subway, and this was the abandoned Subway rail, not like the restaurant, as most people think when I tell this story. So we didn't have a sandwich shop. But so I love abandoned buildings, and I mentioned that in episode 2 about the abandoned road trip I went on with my mom and my friend Ellen. And I had never seen, because like I grew up in a state, I don't think our state ever had a subway or anything like that.
Oh yeah, most don't. I really think that like New York and like San Fran and LA are probably the only ones that really have a good subway system.
Right. So it's like I grew up in Maine, so I had never I'm encountering abandoned mills and abandoned like farmhouses and shit like that. Not an abandoned subway rail. So I had heard about it before. I had like looked at it before, like with my mom, because my mom also likes it, but it's like it's a subway, so it's like underground.
Yeah.
And so it was right across the street from Dinosaur Barbecue. So we're like, you know what? Let's go. And so we went, and it's right over the river, and this is like a raging ass river too. And it's like you can kind of see in, and there's rails up, so like you can't get in unless you go over it. So we're like, all right, here we go. There was a random ass family there, so we weren't the only ones there.
Like just like there for like a family trip, or like
no, just like walking around. They're like, oh, let's explore. Yeah, who knows?
All right.
We were never really near them. Like we went down around the same time, so we had to climb over this rail, and we had to get over there, hang on to this edge, and then at like farms they have those giant ass metal gates that open usually like to paddocks and stuff like that. There was one of those down there, and it was like on its side but like standing upright, so to be used as a ladder. And so we had to use that as a ladder after we got over the rail. It was the sketchiest thing ever.
That is really uncomfy.
It was. It very much was. So, don't know how the gate got there, but we used that as our ladder, and we got down, and it's like dusty down there, and it's very, very big. And there's a ton of graffiti. There was a lot of cool graffiti, a lot of portraits and stuff. There was like birds,
that.
Yeah, there was like paintings of birds, all kinds of stuff. Then the regular graffiti of just like some words and stuff. So we were taking pictures. I brought my camera. I brought my really nice ass camera. So I was like fucking climbing over shit with that, worrying if I was gonna break it. We good though.
Love that.
And so we were taking pictures, and I was taking pictures of like my friends and all that. And there's like a kind of a fence sort of thing in between, not fence, but like it's the divider of the two rails.
Yeah.
So you could climb up onto there. It was like a big concrete divider. And so people would climb up on there. We were taking pictures and all that. Then we walked down. It was pretty far. We walked down towards the darker spot because the point we were at was pretty bright because there were a lot of like large slits at the top for like windows. But as you walk down, that kind of is gone because you're more underground. But so we walked down towards the dark area. We'd used our phones as like flashlights, and it was super dark, but it wasn't really creepy. And we just kind of walked around, see if we could see more graffiti and all that. And we like looped around, and we went to the other side of the track where it goes into the other like rail goes the other direction or whatever. And we were taking pictures. We may or may not have found a can of spray paint and utilized that to mark our our adventures. And so near the end, people were taking pictures, and I was just walking around because I was like, okay, I'm good. I've taken a lot of pictures, and I was like, I don't know. I feel something feels off. I'm like, I feel
it's a ghosty.
seriously. I felt super uncomfortable all of a sudden. I was like, I feel like I'm being watched. And so I was like walking around looking, and I didn't realize that my friends had left some of their stuff on the cement divider. And so I was like, looked, I was like, okay, I'm like, that's their stuff. And I was just walking around, and then I walked back, and they called me back for a picture, like so we could all be in a picture. And so I did that, and then we were like, okay, we're good to go. And so we're like, we're good to like explore the other way. And so we walked back that way, and they're like, where's our stuff? And I was like, what?
No.
And I was like, I'm like, I was here. This was like 20 feet away from us, and didn't hear a goddamn thing. And I was like, that was here like literally a minute ago. I'm like, I just walked past and saw it. And so they were like, what the hell happened? Where'd it go? And we tried to like call one of my friend's phones and like ping it, and it said it was in the area. But so I believe it was two of my friends, it was my roommate and then one of my friends, and they had their stuff stolen. So my friend had her phone and her wallet stolen, and
no.
my roommate had her wallet stolen, and she's like, my Panera gift card. And
I love that that's the concern. My Panera gift card. Kim, people are dying.
Yeah, I know. her biggest concern was like, she was like, because she's from Chicago. She was like, I have to cancel my card, but if they send me a new one, it better have the skyline of Chicago on it, like my last one.
I love that that's like, the concern, not like her identity getting stolen or anything.
I know. Like... That was so funny. I was like, I love how that's the concern here, but
I've had so many friends almost get their identity stolen and being like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, Ever got hers stolen by somebody in New York, and while she was living in Washington, and she was like, I'm like, you got to tell your dad about this and like get it worked through. And she like kept putting it off. I'm like, girl, somebody stole your identity. They might be putting debt on your name. Like,
true. That's very true. Oh my God. That ruined so much for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So everyone was like, where the fuck is our stuff? We didn't hear anything. This is a massive area. You can't just quickly escape. Like if we heard, like if someone was running, we probably would have or should have heard it. But we were all like, fuck no. We don't know who's down here with us. We don't know what they're willing to do. I know a lot of, there are a lot of homeless people who do tend to camp out in the subway because, I mean, it's underground. You're safe from the elements. People don't really go down there other than to
especially
explore.
If it's abandoned. Like, I feel like I would feel really safe if I were homeless, like not super safe because you're never really super safe when you're homeless, but like
Right.
I would feel safer as a homeless person being in an abandoned subway than being up on the surface.
Oh yeah, exactly. Especially Rochester, it gets like the weather there is, ugh.
It gets really cold.
Yeah. So, um, we're assuming it's probably a homeless person. And but obviously at the time we're like, okay, our stuff got stolen. We don't know who's down here with us. It felt violating because we didn't see anyone. It's like,
Yeah.
honestly would have been different if they were right in front of us and took it, I feel like, opposed to.
I feel like I'd feel better about it.
Yeah, so we're
Because
like,
I'd be like,
okay.
well, they stole my shit, but
Right.
at least I saw them do it. It didn't just disappear. Because, like, now you got this feeling that, like, you know, somebody's lurking out here and they could hurt me.
Right.
And then you had those suspicions confirmed when their
Right.
shit got stolen. And now you're like, oh my God, they might still be watching us. What if they decide that we are an easy target and they try to mug us?
I know. I literally right then, I had my base and I was like, okay. I was like, guys, I was like, are we fighting or are we going? And everyone's like, okay, we're going.
We're leaving. Why is fighting one of our options?
I know. And they're like, okay. And so we yeeted. We were like, okay, because we all felt super uncomfortable. We felt violated. Like, my friends were like, where the fuck's our stuff? And so we went. I've never climbed anything that fast in my entire life. I was like, yeet, we gone.
I'm out.
And so we got up there and we're like trying to reevaluate, and we're like, okay, the public safety building is nearby, so it's kind of like the police station, but not like some of the like police are there, but it's not a police station.
It's like one of those like community center things, like for resources.
Maybe, I don't even know. It's all I know is it's called the public safety building, and there are police there, but I don't think that's where they bring arrested people.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, that's nearby. It's like maybe a block or two away. We'll walk there. And so we noticed there was like this man that was kind of like nearby, but he didn't have anything like of ours. Like, you couldn't hide it. They had backpacks and like.
Yeah, but he could have stashed it and then followed you.
Fair. And he was there, and we're like, this is kind of creepy. So we're like, okay, let's go. We don't want to stand here any longer. Let's just leave. And we walk, and then we're walking, and as we're going, I was like, Mika, I was like, I didn't say anything because I didn't want to be like, I don't know, a downer or like, you know, ruin the party, but I felt super uncomfortable and like I was being watched at one point, and like I wanted to leave. And she was like, are you kidding me? She was like, I felt the same exact way, but I just didn't say anything. And I was like,
trust your gut.
I know.
God.
I know. My biggest concern was taking away people's fun, which is why I didn't say anything.
No, I've done that before where like I got a really bad vibe and I was like, man, I want to leave, but I don't want to make my friends leave because
right.
Like I was definitely getting that last night, but
really?
like I didn't want to like make people leave.
Right.
But also like I wanted to fight.
Yeah.
With you on that. Let's fight.
Oh my gosh.
But like also about people. Like I'll get a really bad vibe about somebody and I'm like, Dan, you can't just hate people because you got a bad vibe. Like,
but it's like
that's not very fair.
Though.
I know. Right. And then like, you know, 6 months later, something really terrible happens and it's because that person was a shitlord and I should just listen to myself.
Seriously though. But oh yeah, so I told Mika and she was like, oh my god, are you kidding me? We both had this feeling and we didn't say anything. And I was like, oop. So we started walking to public safety. And then we saw that man again, like somewhere else. And like as we got to the public safety building, which is like a few blocks away, he was like also still walking there, and we're like, okay, so we're potentially being stalked.
Yeah.
And then once we were actually at the public safety building, he turned around. Because I mean,
that makes me think that he's had a run-in with the public safety people.
Yeah,
and that they know him,
right? And so we got there, and my friends tried to talk to the people at the desk or something, and they're like, oh, you need to call this number. And we're like, okay. And so my friends who had stuff, yeah, right. And my friends who had stuff stolen called the number, and they like were asking for their name and stuff like that. They're like, okay, well, you were trespassing. There weren't any signs though. So they're like, you were
Yeah.
trespassing. So if you want to report this, we would have to punish you as well.
But okay,
Yeah.
like I get it, it's trespassing, but also subways are open to the public. They are public spaces. If it is out of order, you need to put a sign saying no trespass. Actually, I'm not sure if it's 100% true because I'm not a lawyer, but
Right.
like my family did used to have a farm and we'd had an
Yeah.
issue with people trespassing and stealing shit off the farm.
Rude.
And I think you can only get somebody for trespassing if you specifically state this is private property, no trespassing.
Right.
If it's something like a subway where it used to be public property, they really should have signs like that because even though it is abandoned, people might just assume, oh, this is still public.
Right. That's true. That's very true. So we were pretty pissy when they were absolutely no help and we're like, all right, we're going to take your information. They're like, but we can't promise that you won't get into trouble and we can't promise that we'll even get your stuff back.
Honestly, they were probably trying to scare you so they didn't have to do anything.
Probably. And so I'm just sitting there and we're trying to use the Find My Phone on my friend's thing. And it says it's like in the subway or in the river maybe. And we're wondering, okay, maybe they threw it because they heard it pinging and they were like, they didn't want
any part of it.
Right. And so all I know, public safety wasn't a help. It was fucking pouring rain out, as I mentioned before.
Yeah.
So we're all just like soaked, displeased with the entire situation.
Looking like a a wet rat.
Exactly.
The drugs are kicking in. Also, guys, I don't take illegal drugs. These are like anxiety meds that I took.
Right. These are prescription, folks.
These are prescription. I just had a panic attack before we filmed this, so.
Yeehaw!
Now you get to hear the smooth jazz of Stoner voice.
Oh my gosh. So before we had gone to the subway and to Dinosaur Barbecue, I had decided, like, okay, like I was gonna go get, once we were done, I was gonna go get my tattoo done. Because they were taking walk-ins that day, and I was like, okay, this is easier than trying to make an appointment for a specific date. And so I was like, so everyone's calling the number that the public safety said, and I'm sitting there next to Mika, and I'm like, is it wrong if I still go get my tattoo after all of this?
I love that.
And she was like, maybe, but let's do it anyway. And so my two friends, one who had their stuff stolen, the other one who didn't, they went back to campus because they're like, because they were gonna come with us, like before all this shit happened. They're like, we're gonna go back and try and deal with this. And then my roommate was like, I need like, she was like, I need a distraction. She's like, I'm definitely coming with you. And I was like, hey, at least now like your wallet was stolen, so you don't have to, like, you can't get a tattoo now. Because she was like, watch me get like an impulse tattoo. I was like, now you just can't afford to get an impulse tattoo.
Wow.
And so she came with us. And so Mika, my roommate, and I went to the place to get my tattoo. It's my second tattoo. And so we went and we're just chilling there. And one of my hallmates who recently got his tattoo there was like, oh, are they taking walk-ins? Because he was now on like he was like, you know, when you get
on that tattoo high.
Yeah, exactly. He was on a tattoo high. And so I was like, are you sure you want to get another one? You got one last week. And so he showed up. It was soon after we were actually leaving. But I got my tattoo. We were there. And while we're there, we get a text from my two other friends that were like, we're going back to the subway. And I was like, it's nighttime. I'm like, it's dark out. And so
it's dark and you guys got your shit stolen. I don't think that's a great idea.
I know. I was like, this is a huge ass no for me. I was like, I don't support this. Please don't. And so they took two guys from our hall
yes,
who are
because
like,
boys will help you.
They are very tall, and if you don't know,
they're just there to look intimidating though. Like,
yes,
that's it. If you don't know how to fight and there's somebody there that is determined to hurt you, being tall is not going to help you.
It's true. But at least they looked intimidating. And one of them, we felt bad. One of them was afraid of heights, so the climbing over
Aww.
the thing, yeah, he was not a fan of that.
He was not a fighter.
So they went looking for their stuff, and I was like, this is a terrible decision. It's dark out. You don't know who's down there. Like, God. And so they went, and they didn't find their stuff or anything, which, I mean, we probably could have guessed. But yeah, they went down, and then they came back later that night, and we were like, Jesus Christ, why would you go down there? That's how you get murdered. And so, yeah, that was the time we were stalked and robbed in an abandoned subway.
And I'm guessing they never got their shit back.
No, no, so, yeah, my friend had to get a new phone and cancel her card and get a new one. My roommate had to cancel her card and get a new one. All that fun stuff. But, I would hate to have to lose my phone, because that's a big expense.
Yeah, no, I smashed my last phone in a car door, and I bricked it. Like, I couldn't even get photos off of it. So I was like,
ooh.
At least it was all backed up on, like, Google Drive and shit.
That's true.
Because I had a Google phone. But yeah, it sucks. It really sucks getting a new phone. Especially when you don't have the old phone to, like, transfer all your shit over onto.
That's true. Oh,
so you'll lose everybody's numbers.
But moral of the story, folks, don't leave your stuff unattended, and trust your gut.
Yes, always trust your gut. I have so many times been like, Dan, don't be a bitch. Don't be judging people. And then the gut feeling is correct, and 6 months later they fuck me over and do something horrific.
True fucking shit. Yeah. I'm trying to think if I have any other Rochester stories I can think of, because I was trying to make this like a little combo, because I have like a bunch of little stories.
That's how a lot of mine are, from like just living in certain places.
Let me pull up my I have a list of things I potentially want to talk about. Let me see if any of them are Rochester related, and I can just throw it in.
What makes me mad?
What?
Sorry, I'm off track because I'm like getting really relaxed, and the stoner brain is like
it's like
somebody last night assumed that I was straight, and then assumed that I was dating my male friend, and then took it upon themselves to combine our ice cream orders and charge my male friend for my order as well as his own.
What? That's
because he thought we were together first, and I'm just like, sir, I know I have acrylic nails on, but I am a lesbian, and I like to believe I exude extreme lesbian energy, but I guess not.
Another brief story. It's not really much of a story. I matched with my RA on Tinder.
Oh no.
At one point. And he's like never on our floor, and I was like, are you on this more than you're on our floor? And he was like, I just got it today, but yeah.
Oh no.
I matched with him specifically so I could see if he would match with me.
That's actually kind of funny. I've done that before. And like, I've super liked a friend that I knew in real life, because I'm like, this would be funny. And they denied it, and then I was like, oh, so I creeped you out. I'm so sorry.
Oh my god, yeah, no.
Like, I thought we were cool. I thought it would be a fun joke, but I guess we're not cool.
But I guess not.
I guess we're not cool.
Oh my gosh. I would have thought it was funny, and matched back as well.
Because I never use my super likes, because I'm just not that bitch.
Yeah, no, I feel like I used it a couple times, maybe. I don't know.
I've used it entirely on accident, except
I've definitely done that.
Yeah. I super liked people before, and I'm like, oh my god, no, don't talk to me. I'm not this bitch.
Right. But yeah, so I matched with him on Tinder. Tinder's actually how I met my schmooey, my Steven.
See, and then one of my other friends met her longtime boyfriend, who she still lives with after 5 years, on Tinder. And I'm like, damn, maybe I hate Tinder, but maybe I'm sleeping on it. Maybe I should be doing a better job about, like, being on Tinder. Sorry.
You should be doing a better job.
I am not with it, clearly, but
oh my gosh.
I've heard of other dating sites. Sorry, go ahead. I'm out of it. Go for it.
Oh no, I was just saying, yeah, I don't think I have any other like short Rochester stories. I have some like longer ones, but I wanted to mostly do like short ones, and then the as well as the subway one, because I knew I could throw in the sex trafficking at at PetSmart and the matching with the RA on Tinder.
Yeah. Getting sex trafficked in 2 of the 3 stories, and a weird thing.
That's all we can really
English.
call it. A weird thing.
A weird thing with your RA.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, it was so funny. I was like, guys, I found him on Tinder. And they're like, what? Match.
Like,
See if he
why?
matched with you. Oh my
man.
gosh.
You know what's horrific is that I had my Tinder set to all ages and all genders at one point, because I was like having a really bad self-esteem day, and then my little sister was like, join Tinder and set your matches to like all age ranges, all like sexualities, all genders. Yeah. And I was like, okay, yeah. And I saw like teachers on Tinder, and it was not good. It was a huge confidence boost though, because you could see like, 99 people liked you and pay Tinder an exorbitant amount of money so you can tell who it is.
Right.
Kind of thing. And I was like, wow, that was a huge confidence boost. But I have met all kinds now, and I'm afraid. So.
Oh gosh, that's fair. That's quite fair.
And I've seen professors and teachers on this thing, and I didn't need to know that.
I did not need to know that.
Did not need to know it. I could have gone my whole life without knowing that. I would have been fine.
Right.
But no.
Oh jeez.
Now I know.
But yeah, we had some good stories today. I hope mine was long enough. I was worried it wouldn't be, which is why I throw some stuff.
Yeah, I was worried mine was going to be short, and then it turned into like a really long thing. So I'm glad.
Yeehaw. Sounds good to me. But yeah, those are my adventures in Rachacha. I have some more as well, but those are for another day, and they are a bit longer. So Rachacha. But yeah, guys, thank you for listening and joining in. Shout out to our patron of the week, Mama J.
Hell yeah.
For the millionth week in a row. A true hero.
A god among men.
Truly. Yeah, if you want to contact us at all with any suggestions. We recently got a suggestion from one of our followers. So I don't know if you saw that message.
Yes, I did. Was it the one about escaping a mental health hospital?
I think it was like it was another troubled teen thing.
Oh yeah. No, she gave us a suggestion.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Clearly I'm not with it. Same person also told me about another personal story from a listener stories. But it's only one story, but it's really, really good. So I asked her if it's okay. But she said she's going to sleep right before I was able to send that message. So hopefully I'll hear back from her soon.
Ooh, yeah, that'd be snazzy. But yeah, if you want to suggest things or tell us your own stories, definitely contact us. You can contact us on Instagram, which is You Don't Look at Podcast, or you can email us, which is youdon'tlookatpodcast@gmail.com. And if you go to Instagram and you click the link in our bio, you can find the links to all of our other social media, and as well as our YouTube and other like formats that you can listen to the podcast, whether that's iHeartRadio, Stitcher, all that fun stuff. But yeah, our Facebook is updating as we post to Instagram because they're linked. Twitter, it's linked, but there's nothing there really.
There's nothing there. It's a like desolate wasteland.
If you want to become a patron and also get some patron-only benefits, such as private Discord group, a private Facebook group, and Danny and I have been talking about a fun patron-only reading that I am thinking about, then you can head on over to our Patreon, which you can also find in the link of our Instagram bio, and it's just $5 a month, and you don't even have to do it continuously. You can stop whenever. But you get all those fun benefits, and you get to tell us what you want to see for other tiers. We can put some more fun exclusive stuff on there for you. But yeah, thank you for listening, and we will be back next week.
Bye.
Bye.